All right, everybody. So this week is going to be just a little bit different. We've only got two of the brothers this week. Myself and Evan, Adam and Andrew are sick. So what we've decided to do is talk about parenthood in today's media and how to navigate that. Video games, movies, music. I am a brand new parent. My son was just born 2 weeks ago. Evan is an experienced parent with his oldest being 17. So we're going to talk about how to navigate parenthood in today's media. So sit back, join the conversation on today's episode of the Brothers BS. All right, guys, welcome to the Brothers BS podcast. Like I said in the intro, there's only two of us this week. Two of them are sick. And so we've decided to still record our episode. And Evan and I decided to get together and do this. We're going to be talking a lot about navigating parenthood through media today. Video games, movies, music, all sorts of stuff, kind of how the approach is. I'm a brand new parent, like I said in the intro. 2 weeks old, my son is. And then Evan, of course, is the veteran of here.
He's old.
He's got a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be talking a lot about that. But of course, first off, let's get started with a little bit of an introduction. Today is going to be, what was your first movie that you remember watching in theaters? Okay. So I am Zach, and the first movie I remember watching was The Lion King. 1994-ish, I believe. And our grandparents took me and Evan, actually, I remember. And that was the first time I ever went to a movie theater. Probably didn't go back for a couple more years because we were poor. And there were 5 kids, so it's hard to pay for that, especially nowadays. I don't even know how much movie tickets are now. I don't remember the last movie I watched in theaters.
You spend a small fortune if all 4 of us go and get popcorn or anything.
What's the last movie you watched? Because I don't know that I've watched something since, not to bring up the stupidity of COVID and all that other stuff, but I don't think I've watched anything since COVID shut down everything.
I'm trying to think. I think I did take Leah to one. Bonhoeffer, I think, is the last one. It was an Angel Studios movie.
Oh.
Okay. I loved reading about Bonhoeffer, and so kind of knew the story. The movie's incredibly slow, but good. I mean, if you know the story, it's worth a watch if you're willing to sit and not be titillated through a whole movie.
All right, what was your first movie?
I'm trying to think if I remember any before Lion King. I remember going with my mom and papa to Lion King. Trying to think if I had watched anything, or I mean, I probably had been to the movies, but I don't know if I remember any movies prior to that in the theater.
Do you enjoy The Lion King?
No,
it's not really one that I like.
I really want.
I really like old Disney. And when I say old Disney, I mean like more of the cartoon era Disney as opposed to the Pixar. But Lion King isn't one that I go back and rewatch.
I think if it were before Disney's new Mufasa movie, I would say I would rather have watched a movie about Mufasa. But seeing how badly that one went, maybe not. No, I think maybe we were desensitized early to unrealistic. I know you can't be realistic with cartoons, but lions being the rulers of these zebras and stuff, and them
and they're just like being cool with it.
Yeah, we're fine. Yeah. We're fine with you being here. No, it's that one never made a lot of sense to me, even young like that. But we had already watched
so many things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Is it's probably even more. You and I were really. I mean, we're 3 years apart, but we were very close. Like you were always my best friend, always growing up, and so it was like me and you, and then the 2 older brothers,
the older boys,
because they were a year apart, and then it was 3 years before Amber, and no, I'm sorry, 1 year before Amber, 3 years before you, and then 3 years before me. So you and I kind of were the closest.
Yeah, Adam's what,
that I had.
6 older than me, and Andrew.
And I didn't get close to Adam and Andrew until I got older, but
and we were always in the rumble seat of the station wagon together.
Right. But you and I think, were introduced to things that they were allowed to watch
Yes.
when we were much too young to watch the things. I mean, not that we never really had a lot of rules when it came to watching stuff. Our mother hates foul language, and she gets very, very uncomfortable and red faced in love scenes.
Any sort of romance.
More than just the light peck on the lips. She gets a little odd.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, not that I would ever want to watch that with a parent or anything,
that'd be awkward.
but it's just never really bothered me that much. But it absolutely irks mom to no end. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today is introducing media to your children. And in today's age, I mean, I feel like everybody kind of ages a little quicker than they should. You know, we've got social media, we've got them kind of forgetting how to appeal to children, or trying to almost involve things that shouldn't be involved with children at that
Messaging
young age.
in
So
movies geared towards.
I just remember I always joke about it, and I watched the movie Goodfellas when I was 6 with Dad. Think it's a great movie to this day. I enjoy Goodfellas. Not my favorite of Scorsese's movies, but I think Dad was just such a movie lover. We were introduced to a lot of great things, probably before we could understand them, but we did grow up with them. I'm not upset about that. I think it kind of shaped my personality. It shaped a lot of my humor, sense of humor, and things like that. And so, me being a new parent, I'm kind of wondering what that process is going to look like for me. I know that you and I are going to have kind of very different views on this, because I am very much opposed to censorship of any kind. And I think that which I know that you do as well, but I think that we underestimate children sometimes about their intellect. I mean, your boys especially are super, super intelligent. And so them being able to determine what's right from wrong. And we've talked about this as well, but like media kind of, you see it the most in Disney. And it could be they're just trying to work on the nostalgia, but it really does feel like they're trying to show the bad guy in a better light than the good guy in a lot of things. Yeah. And I think Maleficent was one of the first ones that I noticed.
Hated that movie.
But the one that just drove me absolutely crazy was Cruella. Like, why on earth? How could you possibly? Her entire thing was she wanted to kill puppies to make her a coat. And they made a movie to where you're supposed to be on her side, like that
sympathetic villain.
And they'll be like, no, it was just like her origin story. No, you wanted her to be the protagonist. Like, she's not the worst one in her movie, and she should be.
Well, Maleficent was definitely that, right? I loved Maleficent being the queen of darkness. I liked no backstory. I don't want to know how she became so evil. Just sometimes it's nice to have that true evil villain.
Yeah.
And it's like they can't stand that anymore. You have to be sympathetic to the villain.
And that's Sleeping. I've never seen Sleeping Beauty, but that's the villain in Sleeping Beauty. Is that right?
Yeah.
I get that in Snow White. I've actually seen Snow White, but I've only seen it a couple times. It's not to say that
the new
it was
one.
Like,
you mean?
Not to say that it was because it's a girly movie, because I like plenty of the girl. Like, I like Little Mermaid. I like Beauty and the Beast. Like, those are great.
Yeah, we just went on a 1999 rom-com.
Rom-coms, especially from that time period.
Yeah, 10 Things I Hate About You, and She's All That. We did How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which is a little later. But trying to introduce my kids to the good rom-coms, because we haven't had one of those in a while either.
There's been a couple that I've enjoyed. There was actually one with Jenny Slate and Charlie Day that came out on Amazon, and I can't remember the name of it. But it's very much like, we called it like almost like a modern day When Harry Met Sally. Of course, it wasn't as good, but it very much had that same kind of feel to it, and it felt like one of the classic rom-coms.
We just watched one like that too, and I can't think of what it was, because I remember thinking, hey, maybe we're going to get some more like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or something like that, and of course, there was no follow through, and it probably didn't even get the attention that it should have got. I think it was maybe a Netflix movie, which is heavily hit or miss.
Oh, yeah.
One in 50 is good, but this one was pretty good. I'll have to try to look the name of that one up again because we really liked it.
Yeah, I've not seen a lot of good ones other than that one. And the thing is, like, a lot of them will come out, and it seems like they've got good storylines or good premise, but it doesn't always. The execution's not great. But I think one of the biggest issues. There's one. I think one of the biggest issues is they went through this, and they're still going through it, I guess. But they went through this thing where they can't make a movie that's an hour and 20 minutes long anymore. Even if the movie should be an hour and 20 minutes long, they have to make it like 2 hours. So they make it way too long. And so they end up adding these parts that shouldn't be in there. Comedies started doing it the most. And it started originally with for anybody who remembers the mid 2000s, but it was like the unrated release.
Oh, yeah.
Is this. And it's like 30 minutes more of content, but
we dropped 6 more F-bombs.
Right. It's just like improv scenes where they like end up beating the punchline into the ground by the end of it. And so I think that's kind of what started it. And then they were like, I guess we got to make our movies 3 hours long, even if they're a comedy. And it doesn't fit the genre.
Well, and so if we're pointing towards rom-com specifically there, you also just can't tell the stories the way you used to. Because someone's sensitive to everything right now, and people that are creating these movies don't feel like they can actually tell the story that they want to tell either. We've also, speaking of the censorship angle, we've forgotten how to be tasteful with certain things too, right? It used to be that the two main characters would smooch each other one good time, and then the screen would go to black, and everybody just knew what happened. Knew what happened after. Right?
You know, it's really funny about that, and I've told my wife this.
What's that?
Before I had been intimate with a woman, I thought that's just how it happened. Like you just like gave each other this look, and the next thing, like there it was. I didn't know that. I didn't. So it was like, oh, we got to fill time with these awkward moments in between as well. We gave each other this look at the restaurant, but now we got to drive to where.
Now you got to talk to each other on the way home. Yeah, it gets weird.
Oh boy, but I just, going back to them trying to make everything the evil is the main focus, or the good guy, or whatever. Or, we talked about it with you said something about Supernatural, with their making the angels the bad guys and the demons the good guys, and everything's anime, misunderstood and all that. I think that's going to be one of the hardest things as a parent, because there is a lot of the time a clear good and evil, and sometimes there's not a gray area.
In the real world. Yeah.
There is the black and white, and there's not the gray. And so I just think that's going to be something that's kind of interesting to do. And I think video games are a good way of doing that. I think video games kind of show you are the protagonist, you are the good guy.
Yeah.
And
some of those not so much anymore. Right?
Well, that's true.
Rockstar kind of introduced us to a lot of games that
I agree. But I think the open world game kind of made it to where somebody could, like, there are some people that I cannot watch play a video game if it's an open world game. People I know, because they can be the worst people I've ever seen. And for some reason,
been able to do that.
I cannot be a bad guy in a game. Like, I tried to do a playthrough of Red Dead Redemption where I was like, I'm going to be a douchebag in this entire... I can't do it. Like, there's decisions that I know that I would make in that situation, and I cannot bring myself to make the opposite one. Same way with Hogwarts Legacy. So I just started doing a replay of that.
The Slytherin
I did. Well, even in the Slytherin run, you can be good. I mean, Slytherin, it's weird how they kind of portray them, right? Yeah. But Hogwarts Legacy is an interesting game too, because like they have the good option. They give you the
there's never really repercussions for the bad decisions.
Right. But what do they call when you have like dialogue? They call it like a
morality system.
No, like dialogue tree or dialogue. You know what I'm talking about? Where they give you options.
Type of thing, yeah.
Where they give you options to say to somebody in a conversation.
multiple choice.
They always give it to where it's like, this person's talking about, hey, I like your broom. And it's like, thank you is number one. And the second one's like, yeah, you do, stupid. And it's like,
Go
well,
eat
who's
crap.
choosing that one? Like,
Yeah.
it's just such but again, there's not a morality system in that game, but I can't bring myself to be a villain or be a bad guy in a game.
I tried to do it with Knights of the Old Republic back in the day, a Star Wars game that had a morality system, because I wanted a red lightsaber, and I couldn't bring myself to do it.
So you'll have to
same way.
educate a non-Star Wars guy. You can only have a red lightsaber if you're a bad guy.
Canonically, which canon has changed so much too. So I like the original trilogy, and then I kind of will take Rogue One most of the time, but then I like the Clone Wars and Rebels. So most of the film universe I have nothing to do with. Canon became that what gave your lightsaber its color was a kyber crystal. It wasn't original canon, came in a little bit later. And then to become a Sith, or as part of being a Sith, you actually made the kyber crystal bleed through evil acts, and that's what turned it red. Again, canon's changed 50 times since then. But I wanted the red lightsaber, and I apparently can't stand to make the kyber crystal bleed by making bad choices and murdering everybody.
Well, it's just, I don't know. It's so weird, but and I've thought about it long before they really had NPCs that like had any kind of emotion or anything. But I always been like,
Make a story.
I don't know who this person is. Like he's like walking home from work, and I just
kill
ran him over with a car. Like, what is this? I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Priscilla was watching me one time, which I've played through some of the GTA games, but Priscilla was watching me play Grand Theft Auto 5, and I had to steal a car. And when you go up to steal a car in the game, like you open the door and you like punch the guy in the face, and then you pull him out, and then you climb in the car and drive. She was like, "Why'd you do that?" And I was like, "Well, it's just the button that you press. Like I didn't choose to do
Just what
that.
it does. Here
That's
we
just
go
like."
again.
And she's like, "I wouldn't do that." I'm like, "All right, come over here and play this for a second." So she got on there, and she got into a bus, ended up throwing the bus driver out, had a full bus, ran it off a bridge, and killed everybody in the bus. I was like, "It's not so easy, is it?" It's just,
I remember watching people play through with GTA 5 that was the last major one, right? That everybody loved. Somebody trying to live in the game as though they were just going about law abiding.
yeah.
And you can't.
So something that's entertaining, even if people aren't video game people, this is actually quite funny, quite entertaining. But there are a lot of people on, I guess you could sometimes see it a little bit as sad if they take it too seriously. But there's a lot of people who go into servers on games like Grand Theft Auto, or Red Dead Redemption, and they do role playing.
Oh.
And so they'll go in and
Well, that would be right up my
they'll take the persona of a character, and then they'll be that. So like there's a guy who has a cop uniform and drives a cop car and pulls people over, and like other players and stuff. It's actually quite funny to watch.
Have you seen the guy that does it on Call of Duty as a drill sergeant?
No, but I played, there's a game called Hell Let Loose, and it's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
But if you don't
It just came out on consoles, right?
a couple years ago, it came out on consoles. But if you don't play it like every day, you're gonna fall very much into like the casual player
Skill gap.
But I played the first time I played that, it was already after it was pretty established, and you have a commander in there, and it's crazy. Like they were super nice guys, but they were treating it like we were on a battlefield.
So serious.
And yeah, it was crazy. I mean, if that's what you like to do, it doesn't hurt anybody. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Anytime you've got something like that and that's your outlet, go for it. I don't.
Well,
have
and
a problem
I'm a
with
big
you're
role playing game,
role-playing,
like
yeah.
tabletop role playing. Used to be Dungeons and Dragons. Now we're into like Shadow Dark and Cyberpunk and Call of Cthulhu, but role playing's
You all are doing a Cyberpunk one. Is it like based off of the game Cyberpunk?
yeah Cyberpunk Red.
Okay.
The company that made Cyberpunk, we've looked at getting it, or the people that made Morkborg, which it's actually Merkborg. I just can't bring myself to say M-O-R-K Merk. They've made one called Cyborg, which is based off the same rule set, but it's set in a cyberpunk type of setting. So, yeah, we're big into the role playing game, pen and paper.
Well, I grew up
Nice game.
also playing it.
Yeah, you never loved it.
I've never loved it, but that was again. We've talked about it in the past, but there was just like certain times of our life where I wanted to like everything that you all liked. I wanted to be cool with you all, and that's just one of those things that I never really got into. I think it's cool. I think it's I went through a time where it's like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing. It's not. It's actually very creative. It's amazing the kind of which I've played a couple of your games that I've sat in on when you're. It's so cool how much thought you put into it,
Oh, yeah.
and how much truly improvisation skills, because you and I have talked about it, but you plan for the party to go one way
And
and they
never
do the complete opposite, and you're like, oh, I guess everything that I've written down is now pointless.
Well, and talking from the parenthood angle, that's been the best quality time that I've been able to get my kids to engage, and it's helped them to be more social. It's helped, like, just being able to sit down and escape this world for a minute and be comfortable with the people that you're around enough to act foolish sometimes has been really good for them, and really has probably, it's one of the many things that we've intentionally done to make sure that we spend quality time with our kids, not watching a screen or
Right.
so that's, I'll never regret introducing my kids to tabletop role playing games. That's, I tell people it's the best team building exercise on the planet. If you need to get 5 people to have to get along by putting them in a really bad situation,
Have them fight a dragon.
and pretend, yeah, sure. It forces cooperation eventually, which is nice.
I like to get into it with you guys just because, well, one, I like doing it just because I like hanging out with you all, and if that's the best way of getting together and hanging out, then that's what I'll have to do. But I like just kind of seeing the different, and even me not being a person who plays a lot like you all. If you've noticed, every time I play, like, I'm probably one of the more vocal ones about doing sometimes to a fault, but I just like it. I see it as an opportunity, which I like to perform. I like to be in front of people. I do like that. I play music, but I coach, and then I see that as kind of a form of performing as well. But I like to have the opportunity to either make people laugh or doing something like, so I always treat it like that, which you and I, when we were younger, used to get in trouble because the other guy,
Our DM was pretty serious.
he was a lot more
loosened
serious.
up a lot over the years. But, he was
Our DM, who we also call our brother, because he's one of our, what we call our adopted brothers. But yeah, we used to get in trouble because we didn't take it as seriously as we should have. And so a lot of times that's hard for me to do. But I do have a good time. But so with stuff like music and movies and video games, whatever it is, what is it that is there a hard, fast rule that you've kind of approached your parenthood with? Like,
so
what?
Probably unpopular opinion. We're very subjective on what we protect our kids from watching. So I like the rating system is there for a reason. They don't necessarily weight the same things that I would weight as being what should make something rated R versus PG-13. And that's changed some over the years. But more specifically, like, war movies, I don't think necessarily should be considered in the same way as, say, a gangster movie where people are gunned down in a drive-by shooting. I think seeing military violence, like take Saving Private Ryan, right? Yeah, there was language involved in that one too. But maybe a better example is Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge was rated R, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen it, but I want to.
Almost zero language in the movie. It's rated R specifically for the violence and gore.
Yeah.
But if you've ever read about Hacksaw Ridge, there's no way they could have made it without showing the amount of violence and gore.
Right.
And so to me, that's one I didn't protect my kids from. I think it's important that they see what those generations went through
Yeah.
versus, say, lewd and lascivious things in a movie, which I've intentionally, I avoid those. And so my kids, by extension, don't watch them either. So I can't say I haven't let my children watch what would be considered age inappropriate movies, but to me, what other people consider age inappropriate about them, I don't agree with. I think that's an important aspect that they need to learn about the real world and some of the past events that have taken place. So I don't think I have a hard and fast rule. My wife is probably more of a moral compass with that, because a lot of it I'm like, oh, I watched this when I was 7.
We're bad examples.
And she's like, no, so my wife says that at 14, for each of us, I was on a much different road than she was. She says, I was still playing Barbies when I was 14 or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm glad we didn't meet at that time.
You were long out of your Barbie playing phase.
I had stopped playing Barbies years ago, unless that was the neighbor girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priscilla says that I lived an entire life before the age of 16 when I met her. Because I'll tell her something. She's like, how did you do that? I'm like, my parents were hardworking people who worked third shift.
And they weren't home.
They weren't home.
They slept while we were.
Not to say they weren't. That sounds like
they
we
were
were
awesome.
No, they were amazing. It's not that they weren't home. It's just at night they worked and weren't
impossible
home.
to supervise us.
And so us being stupid.
We were taught proper principles. We chose not to necessarily live them. So, yeah, that's been a hard one. Now, music wise, I'm kind of in your camp. I don't believe in censorship. So I think if you're going to listen to music,
if you're going to listen to Dr. Dre, you need to listen to how Dr. Dre wrote the song.
To hear how the song was intended. Now, that being said, we don't really listen to anything younger than 15 years old at my house. Even my kids love like classic rock. My oldest son's on an Ozzy Osbourne kick since he's passed away, and so we're getting a lot of Black Sabbath.
Gosh, I love Ozzy Osbourne.
The Ozman Cometh and some of that at the house. So no, my kids have awesome taste, and we raised people that we would want to hang out with, and both of my kids are just the coolest people on the planet. So their taste in music is different than mine in some ways, but you see the elements of the things that I introduced them to. So
I think that's something that I'm very new as a parent, but I mean, they're like, well, if you don't have kids, you can't have an opinion. Well, that's
stupid
BS. But one of the things that I've always thought that I would do, and I hope I continue to do, is this past, or I think our generation. I'm older as a parent. I'm 36 years old, having my first kid. But our generation went through this let's be friends type of parenting, and they don't realize that if you do a better job and discipline like you should at a younger age, then you can raise your friends.
Yes.
Right? They can eventually be your friends. They can be cool people to hang out with and cool. But you can't start out like that. You can't dumb yourself down to their level, because kids are smart, but kids are dumb.
Oh yeah, well, there's no wisdom, right? There's intelligence there, but there's no life experience. My kids would both tell you that I'm famous for saying, I'm not your buddy, I'm your dad. And so
our dad had that same.
Yeah, we drew.
Doesn't mean that we didn't have some awesome, fun friend time.
I consider Dad a friend. Like, I had a friendly relationship with Dad, but I also knew there was a line you didn't cross with him, and I think my kids learned that really early. I can joke with you and play with you, but when it gets to a certain point where it becomes disrespectful, then we have to talk about roles, and I'm in the lead role as your dad, and you just kind of have to follow. So you can be friendly with them, but you can't be their friend.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm going to try to do, at least.
You're going to be a mess, is what you're going to be. I'm going to have to come up here and call him down when he gets in trouble, because neither you or
I don't know. Priscilla's that teacher. She's that born teacher.
Yeah, she's a
she
new teacher.
Kinda has
She's a new teacher.
12 years. That's not new. She's taught for 12
Oh
years.
man, that's hard to believe.
But she never had discipline issues. She
I
was
think she did.
a discipline.
She does. Yeah, and your wife's Priscilla's always been really assured with who she is too.
Yeah.
Which is rare for as young as what you guys got married, and you're still young.
Yeah.
But as parents, you're geriatric technically, coming from a healthcare background. But Priscilla's always been real self-assured, and that helped you when it was time to grow up. Much like my wife was my moral compass before I had one for several years.
Yeah, Priscilla and I raised each other.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was 21, 17 days after I turned 21 when I got married, and you were 19?
Just turned 19. Priscilla had just graduated high school.
Yeah, so we were both babies when we got married. We got married a year apart.
Yep.
About a year apart.
Yeah, you're at 18. I'm at 17 years.
Yeah, May will be 18.
Yeah, it's funny because everybody joked that Priscilla was pregnant when we got married. It took us 17 years to pop it out.
That'd be real bad.
So movies. So I am very much. This is coming from somebody who says the only reason I watch Game of Thrones is because there was nudity in every episode. That's not a lie. That is the only reason I watch Game of Thrones. I don't like fantasy either, but
that's my bread and
that's
butter.
something that I didn't think would kind of change becoming a parent, but I think it changed a little bit before. I guess when we were talking about trying to have a baby.
Yeah.
Is that gratuitous sexuality in things. I think that's an act that probably shouldn't be seen by anybody unless husband and wife. I understand why they put it in some things, and I think there's sometimes a place for it. I don't think necessarily it ever needs to be graphic. It doesn't bother me when it is, let me say that. But that's something that I've always kind of, because there's a lot of people who give the argument, and I understand it. There's a lot of people who give the argument. It's like you'll let somebody watch their head get blown off, but you won't show a boob.
Absolutely.
Yes and no.
Every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
I certainly can see that argument. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to agree with that argument, but I do on some level. There is one that's a lot more natural than the other, but I don't think just because it's natural, it should be seen by all. So that's going to be something that I guess I would see it more as like if there's like a movie that's, I don't know. The only thing that comes to mind right now is say the movie The Road Trip. Okay, the whole premise of the movie is sex, right?
I don't think I've seen it, but
it came out a long time ago. Like the Tom Green was in it, I think.
Did they jump a bridge in a car?
I don't remember
it
that much. I just know the whole purpose of the movie is they're all trying to get laid.
Is that the Daddy, would you like some sausage?
No, that was his movie, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Freddie got
everything
fingered.
Tom Green was in was exactly the same. So it's. Really
I watched his documentary. Pretty interesting.
Is that the farm one? Have you seen?
What are you saying?
He's got a documentary out right now where he starts a farm, like a.
Oh no, this was like his
farm.
history or whatever.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the new one.
No.
He's he's old now compared to.
So are we.
Yeah. But he's
people age with us. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. This documentary is him starting an operating farm. So.
It's interesting. Anyway, the purpose of that is to say, like, if you watch The Godfather, there's a part where Michael goes to Sicily or Italy. I think it's Sicily. Michael goes to Sicily when he's on the run after he kills, and he marries a girl. And on their wedding night, it shows her topless. I don't think that's going to bother me, like with having a kid. But maybe not showing him a movie that like the whole premise of it is a raunchy sex comedy from the early 2000s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think there's context for everything. Okay.
Yeah.
I always give the example. So language doesn't bother me. I don't consider language foul. I consider language just language. It doesn't it goes in one ear and out the other. I use it a lot of the times. I don't have a problem with it. I don't say it in front of my mother because I know it offends her. But that's the only
You've learned when to censor.
that's the only, and I wouldn't say I censor what I'm saying. I censor
Right.
the words that I say.
Choose your
But,
words differently.
It's never bothered me, but I can understand. So I like the show Deadwood. Deadwood, it's based in,
I tried to watch that one.
it's a good show.
The language is and unrealistically
Unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's such an odd way of doing it too. It's almost like two 13-year-old boys were in a room and they were like,
How many
hey, we
times?
can't say these words because the flow of the sentence doesn't even,
yeah.
it's almost like they put the curse words where you wouldn't. It's
Yeah,
like
it makes-
if you've ever heard a little kid when he's learning how to say bad words,
When
and
they
he just
always
does
say it just slightly louder than the rest of the words in the sentence.
or
like they
put
have to
them in the wrong
prepare for
place.
it, yeah.
It's like, it just is such an, like, shit you. It's like, that's not that's not a thing somebody says. It's like they don't. It's the weirdest. The show's great. I mean, the storyline of the show. It's got Timothy Oliphant.
Well, the
and
lineup is incredible.
Ian McShane. Like, it's a great show, but the language is so I wouldn't even say it's atrocious. It's weird. It just doesn't make sense. So something like that, like watching that, I can kind of understand. Like, it's almost like a point where it's like, I'm offended by it, but I'm offended by it because it doesn't make sense why they would do that. More than, like, say, The Departed, where
Or Reservoir Dogs.
Dogs or something like that. Language like that doesn't bother. In fact, my brother-in-law, I think, has a really interesting way. So he doesn't allow his children to curse, okay? But they don't really hide their language from their kids either. But their kids know not to say it, and they know when they they call them. You should not say. You shouldn't hear these words at school. You shouldn't hear these words outside of the house. And they which, I mean, again, they're really smart kids like your kids. So maybe like that's the secret. But language, I don't think is ever going to be something, as of right now. And again, I'm 2 weeks into parenting, but language isn't something that I ever think about worrying about policing about myself, especially.
Yeah. I always have. So with the example of your brother-in-law, well, then what age is it okay for them to talk that way?
But I don't think language is bad.
No, and
like, you don't use foul language anyway,
right?
Or say curse words or whatever, however you want to say it, cuss, whatever. You don't use that anyway,
and really never have.
Right? You never
that's
have.
Always been a
right.
But I always convinced myself that it sounded unintelligent.
But that's because our mother says that.
She conditioned me or something,
right?
Because I'm like, I always wanted to find a way to say the same thing in a better way,
but
like to sound differently, I guess.
My thought process is you can say something way worse without ever saying.
Oh yeah,
like I know that you hate when somebody says the word jerk. Like,
jerk
you're a jerk.
Or
would you rather somebody say you're a jerk, or would you rather somebody say, like, I'm so effing tired today?
Oh,
like, that's what I mean about context.
I consider words really powerful. And especially so my wife's...
I consider context a lot more powerful than words.
My wife's love language is words of affirmation, or one of them, right? It's a rotating thing.
Yeah,
it changes day to day.
All love languages.
So I learned really early that even saying something that I had no intention of offending her would hurt her feelings. So words have always been...
You choose them wisely.
I've been really careful the way that I speak to people, because I don't ever want them to... Now,
if I want you to be...
You get on the wrong
if
side
I'm mad...
of me, and I can...
I understand that.
I don't do that to my family. That's never going to be what I choose to do. So I can see there are contexts when I can see speaking that way. I've never understood how it becomes part of your regular speech flow. Like, you go up to Northeast,
right, and
the F word there is like and. Like, they don't mean, they're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. They're not trying to offend anybody. It's just part of their regular speech pattern. Right. And so that's never really bothered me. I would much rather that than someone who uses words to hurt
Oh yeah.
So, but just in my house, my kids don't use bad language. I've never enjoyed using bad
Well,
language.
I've never known you. I mean, I've heard you say a couple words
Yeah.
in the
As a joke.
36 years that I've known you.
Yeah.
But I also think that now, not to say that the Seth Rogen aspect of let's just add an F word everywhere. I do think that it can make a story much funnier with foul
Well,
language.
jokes. Sometimes a joke's punchline.
yeah.
You have to.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And fixing a television or a ceiling fan.
Oh,
right?
man.
That's free reign. Everybody forgives you for using foul language in that situation.
But I think, like, I'm not offended by. I guess I'm not offended by any one word. And I mean, I don't. There's probably a time in my life when I was a lot more hot-headed than I am now, where if somebody said something to me, I'd probably get mad and get into an argument with it. And now I have a shorter temper than I used to, and sometimes I've gotten mad at people, and we've had verbal, confrontations before. But I've just gotten to this point where I don't really care what anybody says. It's not really going to hurt my feelings or make me mad, because I don't care enough about people a lot of times.
No, and that's one on the ratings that I never understood how it was weighted so heavily. You can only say this word this many times.
Yeah. I've heard it was like you get one F-bomb for a PG-13. But now I've heard that it's 2. I don't know if they've changed it.
Probably. I mean, they're going to have to keep pushing that line, because those...
Well, look at Titanic as PG-13, and it shows Kate Winslet.
Yeah, but because it's
pretty much full frontal. I mean, you see... Not that I didn't love that as a child.
Yeah, the language, my kids just know not to use
right. Yeah, I think the rating systems, and I love what you said about it being subjective.
Yeah.
And, Indiana Jones is PG-13 as the first movie that was PG. Raiders of the Lost Ark was the first PG-13 movie. I heard that. Maybe that's not true, but that's what I've heard.
Because he said, why is it always snakes?
Yeah, that's penis joke. No. Before the age of, like, it'd be crazy not to show. It's like watching a video game, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom. All of them are like watching
all
a
of
very
the Indiana Jones. Well, no, I'm sorry. The Indiana Jones trilogy is great.
The only three Indiana Jones
that are really Indiana Jones.
And so I love that what you said about it being subjective, that you can take something that may be rated R for violence, Saving Private Ryan or Hacksaw Ridge or Fury, even if it has language, like that's sometimes how people speak. Like, and that's another thing our mother says, people don't really talk like that. I'm like, Mom, you talk to people at work and you talk to people at church.
School. Yeah, go to high school.
In the everyday world, sometimes people talk like that. That's how people talk.
Well, and military is always the one that I'm willing to make the most concessions with,
right?
Because that brings out either the worst or the best in whoever's involved in it. And so
I always say that not that I have any regrets, but I feel like I should have gone into the military. But I'm man enough to admit that I was too big of a baby to be away from Priscilla that long, because we met so young. When Priscilla's brother went into the Marine Corps, I seriously considered doing it.
You would have performed well in the Marines.
I mean, I don't know if I would or wouldn't. I mean, it's hard to say when you think about it. But it is something that I've always had just a tremendous amount of respect for. Yeah. And so I almost kind of wish that I would have gone that route, but it could have been a very bad decision for me.
I think the lessons that, like, I wish that you could teach kids wisdom. You can't, right? You can't give them life experiences. But if you can show them a safe representation, because you're looking at a screen, right? Of some of the worst positions, like Band of Brothers, right? Yeah. The situations that those kids, they were just 18-year-old kids. Some of them 16. They lied about their age.
Right. And we have a family member that lied about his age to get into went to World War II.
Yeah.
So,
and they were put in a decision-making situations that grown men wouldn't.
Well, and what's so crazy about that is the further we're removed from that, the more that seems like it's a made up story. Like,
Yeah.
like this is a story we're going to tell about Audie Murphy. And it's like, oh, this is a legend. But we're so removed from that because people can't even fathom doing that nowadays. We still, it doesn't mean that especially in our military, we don't still have true heroes like you see in those things. But on the whole, like the majority of men back then it's almost like they were heroic, where we don't have that nowadays. We have the selfishness.
Yes. Well, the greater good isn't something that we all strive for anymore.
Right.
I think required watching should be, everybody should have to watch the Bastogne portion of Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
Like if you ever feel like in fact, that should maybe be the treatment for depression or feeling like your life isn't going well. You should be forced to watch or listen to Malarkey. I don't remember his first name, but Sergeant Malarkey from Band of Brothers wrote a book after. They all really did. Dick Winters wrote a book.
Yeah.
But Malarkey's book I've just recently listened to, and go to Bastogne when he lost his best friend in Bastogne, and you're just expected to you just keep going. That's, we have no idea how easy our lives are now.
Well, we don't know what that feels like.
No.
And the only reason I'm saying this is because my brother-in-law, who has seen combat, who has seen real war,
And lost
friends, has said it. But it's even so different military, because now it's like we're going out on deployment and then we come back. Back then in World War II, we went out in 41 and they came back in 45 after the war was won.
Well, and those guys were getting injured, and instead of going home, they went against medical advice and came back to fight more.
It's crazy.
Yeah, just different breed of men
for sure.
than there are around right now, for sure.
If I don't have a television playing when I sleep, I can't sleep.
My sound maker that I turn on before I guess
I forgot about that.
Mortar shells, maybe that.
We went to Savannah. I worked on a television show a couple years ago, and I didn't want to go down alone. I was like, "Hey, Evan, you want to come with me?" And we went down there, and he ended up working with me. And he pulled out this thing out of his bag when we got down to the hotel room, and I'm like, "What is that?" He was like, "It's my sound machine." I'm like,
it makes white noise. That's the only way that I can sleep anymore.
Well, I watch Seinfeld, or I watch How I Met Your Mother. So those are the two shows that I watch to go to sleep. It used to be the Andy Griffith Show. I kind of cycle through all of that. So that's another interesting thing is with your kids. Even those, I'll give those two examples just because I said that. But How I Met Your Mother and Seinfeld really are not for kids.
No.
They won't understand. But it's almost like you want to show them. It's like you don't want to be like any of the adults in this show.
Don't be
like
George.
Nobody in this show. Maybe Marshall and Lily from How I Met Your Mother, but you don't want to be like anybody in
don't be
Seinfeld.
Barney,
You don't want to be like. It's just kind of interesting that you kind of have these examples that you can give to kids.
Yeah, so we're watching Parks and Rec right now.
Great show.
My kids are at, like, again, if we could all go back to our kids being 5, I think we would. Like, I loved that age with my kids. But now that they're getting up towards adulthood, the things that we can talk about and have realistic and good dialogue on are awesome. So we watch Parks and Rec, and Aziz Ansari's character is just like a scummy little guy.
Tom Haverford.
But Tom Haverford. But you love him.
Yeah.
He's just a scummy little guy.
Right.
And so I get to see my kids realize, okay, you can be nice to people that don't necessarily share your morals.
Right.
Just don't live like them, right? Don't go to nightclubs and try to pick up girls when you're married and
but you hope your son grow up to be Ron Swanson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's like you don't trust any government.
I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I had never watched Parks and Rec. I think I had watched the first 2 episodes, and the first season's just
first season's hard to get through
It's
because they almost try to make Leslie Knope exactly like Michael Scott from The Office.
Yeah.
And she's not that. She's somebody who's so good at her job that she's kind of annoying instead of an imbecile like Michael Scott is. So yeah, they didn't quite know how to write Leslie Knope during the first season.
Yeah, and so I remember you had called me and asked me if I'd ever seen it. And I was like, I think I tried. I thought it was stupid. And you're like, no, Evan. Ron Swanson they followed you around with cameras.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many people like, and there's
Ron Swanson.
and the older I get, the more Swanson-y I get too. So like, and that's just such a great.
And they
character.
did such a good job on that show. And one of the biggest lessons from that show, Leslie and Ron couldn't be more opposite,
right
in their stances.
Yeah,
but they work together great and have a great personal relationship. And we don't have any examples of that in media right now.
Right.
People that have differing opinions who choose to
without one of them being the villain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you root for both of them. You root for
Right.
Leslie and you root for Ron because, I mean, especially any food related Ron episodes are just incredible. But they did an excellent job of showing that you can disagree on things and still have a great relationship with, which you see that. I think you see that best with your parents after you move out and you kind of decide who you are. Like, we were raised a certain way. There's certain things we agreed with, certain ways we didn't. But we, like, our mom's still our friend. Like, it's weird to say that, but our family, we hang out. Like, we like each other. And I didn't realize how rare that was until I was out of the house and met people that, I haven't talked to my sister in 20 years. And I'm like, holy cow, I talked to mine like 10 minutes
20
ago.
minutes ago. And I kind of want to call her.
And we have game nights and we do,
we did when we were all sick, we did a Zoom call where we played trivia.
That was great. So yeah, we need a little more. I'd love to see a good new show come out.
Well, that's why I like, in How I Met Your Mother, I mentioned Marshall and Lily. Marshall and Lily are...
Is that...
they have a great marriage in the show. Like...
Allison... what's her name?
Hannigan.
Is that her? Is that the girl from Buffy?
Buffy and Jason Segel, the guy from...
I love him. Yeah.
And they get married in the second season. They're engaged in the first season, have like a little breakup, not really breakup. And then they get back together in the second season. They get married, and they're the married couple example throughout the
around all of
the
single
It doesn't
people.
mean they don't have episodes around like them fighting or having miscommunication or anything, but it's never like mean. It's never
negative about being married.
Like I always give the example of King of Queens, which I enjoyed that show.
That one, that's
a good show.
Painful for me.
But the first couple seasons, I really liked Doug and Carrie's relationship.
Yeah, the last.
And then
was terrible.
after about the third or fourth season, they're so mean to each other.
Well, you're like,
and it
neither
got
one
to
of
that
them's
point.
trying to be a better person, right?
Right.
Like,
It's like selfish. They're not ever thinking about that other person. It's such a bad example. And I know nothing has to be an example of what's good.
Right.
But I think that's a better told story if you can tell what a real marriage should be or
you
what
had
real
it with
relationship.
I Love Lucy, right? Desi and Lucy had a good marriage. Like, they had good communication. They had their tiffs or whatever. But then Fred and Ethel, their communication was never that great.
Yeah.
So it's good to have Archie Bunker, right? And Edith? Archie and Edith, right? They had friends that had these good relationships. Archie and Edith, he wasn't very nice to her, right? Like that.
Right.
So being able to have contrasting views in the same is a really good way to teach.
And I guess that's hard to do in a sitcom.
Yeah.
But
Carol O'Connor nailed it as far as that goes.
yeah. Well, that was a show ahead of its time, but also couldn't.
And that nobody now understands at
right.
all. I get so many confused opinions about that show where they're like, "Oh, it was terrible." I'm like, "That's what he was saying. Like, he was showing how terrible." It's like, do you not understand that's the exact point of this?
So I want to talk about this one really quickly before we end today's episode. But one of the things that I think is really cool that you did, or that you did parenting that I noticed we've never even talked about before, is I've always noticed that you don't allow your sons to play online, or didn't for a long time, but you don't let them at all with strangers, right? Like you've never.
No, they can. So if they have, so we have PlayStation. We're console people. I've never really been a PC gamer. But if they have friends, they can have closed parties with those friends and chat with them over the headset.
And that's fairly recent, though,
And
because
yeah,
I
that's
remember
very recent. And we don't do TVs in bedrooms. Me and my wife don't have TV in our bedroom. Like I'm big on that not being the central point of your life. So we have a TV in the living room. The boys have one downstairs in our game room, but it's out in the open where everybody else is. There's too many horror stories of predators,
absolutely.
preying on kids online. So yeah, we were big on. We didn't do first person shooters for a really long time. Not because I'm against them. I grew up playing Battlefield 1942 and all that.
Yeah.
We just the language that because now it's all online. There's not really even a campaign mode on a lot of them.
Right.
And the language that people use on there
Well, yeah, it's a bunch
on
of
an open mic is just
idiotic white kids saying the N-word a bunch.
just racist rants and just bad, and you sit and wonder, well, are their parents not hearing them?
Right.
And so,
Or do they not care?
probably
And
not, right? We were, and I think we let our kids be kids for a good amount of time, longer than what we were allowed to be kids. Like we grew up pretty quick, I think, and most of this generation grows up way too fast. And so we homeschooled our kids, and we tried to introduce those things as they were age appropriate to introduce them.
Well, so this year we went on a family vacation in May, and really the first time we've ever done that.
It was awesome.
Like it was seriously the best vacation I think I've ever
3
done.
days or something.
Yeah.
But it was
wonderful. We spent a lot of time together. Like we had our own rooms and stuff, but all of us planned an activity for the night and cooked dinner. And but that was one of the things that I noticed, and I talked to Priscilla about it. I was like, I just think that's so cool. And I don't even know if this is the actual policy, but your son Noah wanted to get on and play with some of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, if Liam's in the room with you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
as
they
long
have,
as, yeah.
They have to be. So we don't do isolation from each other, period. Like, I think a lot of the problem now is people go in their room and they don't spend time with their family. And so you and I growing up, we were and still are best buds. Like
Right.
I call you most of the days,
Yeah.
right? There's very rarely a day that we don't at least text. And part of that was that we were always just around each other,
Yeah.
right? Exposure. And I see my wife's family is very different. They grew up in a huge house. They all had their own individual phone line in their room, which in the 80s and 90s, the phone was basically the internet, right? We just, especially girls at the time,
Always
constantly on the
yeah.
phone. And I can say that because my wife says that's so not inappropriate to say. But they can go months without talking. They're not actively involved in each other's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that would kill me.
Yeah.
Like, we're all so close. There's 5 of us, and we're all so close that. And so I want that for my kids. I want them to be friends.
Well, I thought it was so, and I saw this right towards the end, I guess, of my childhood. But when there were 4 boys and a girl, and poor Amber, who's probably the strongest out of all of us.
Yeah,
she's just the greatest. But poor Amber probably hardly got things that she was truly interested in. Just kind of had to adapt to what we had.
Yes.
And so, like I've heard people. That's my son's PlayStation, and then my other son has a Xbox, and it's like we didn't have. Like it wasn't my PlayStation. It wasn't my Nintendo. It was like the family Nintendo, and we had to split it, and it wasn't always fun to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would want to play a single player game, and and so that's something I think that kind of built on that isolationism, if that's a context of that word that fits. But we never had that. We had to play, like if you played a video game, you had to play it with everybody.
There were so dang many of us too. You had to learn cooperation. I mean,
Right.
it's just.
Well, and not to say we always got along, because I mean that's just not the thing. But I think it's just going to be. Of course, my wife and I always say we never speak in absolutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't ever say, well, we're never, he'll never have a passy when he's 2 years old. It's like, well,
How do you know?
right.
You're just starting
I
on
would
this thing.
I would like to get rid of it before then,
Yeah.
but like we very much he's never going to sleep in our bed. Well, I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
Like
and
you don't,
he for sure will
Oh, I
sleep
know.
in your bed. Yeah.
but that's my point. Is like we don't ever say never about anything, because that I think that's just one of those like, you want to be disappointed or whatever the saying is, tell God your plan or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's one of those things that you try to say this.
Man plans and God laughs or whatever.
And so I'm looking at this like a learning experience. There's a lot of things that I think to myself, like I want to do this as a parent, and I want to, this route to be the one that my kid takes. I want this for him. I don't want that for him. And there's a lot of things that I learned from my childhood that I would like to either avoid or have him enjoy.
Replicate, yeah.
And I think media for me has always been, and I guess I already had that mindset, but the fact that you said it as it's subjective, it's something that can, you got to take case by case, because not everything's the same. Like,
I think at the end of the day, if you're actively trying to be a good parent, and I know that you and Scylla are, you'll know what's right.
Right.
Or you'll screw it up like all the rest of us have sometimes.
I think I already told you this, but I told Priscilla I think I figured out the secret of parenthood, and it's not that you're never right, it's that you're always wrong.
Always wrong. Yeah.
But and I tell Priscilla this when I told her a much more extreme case when she was pregnant, but like if she's concerned about something or if she's worried that we did something wrong or something, I was like, the fact that we're worried about it
means you're trying.
shows how much we care about this kid.
Yep.
When she was pregnant, and she would be like, I want a deli sandwich, they tell her, or something like
deli,
that. It's like,
yeah.
and she didn't. She didn't eat deli
everybody.
or something. But she was like worried about. Do you think like we went to a concert up at Hard Rock Cafe up in Bristol, and we had to walk through the casino. Everybody's chain smoking, and it's so weird. We're only maybe 15 years removed from when people used to smoke indoors.
Yeah.
And it'd be like smoking and non-smoking. They're right side by side. So what the hell do you expect us to do?
Everything's smoking. Yeah.
And so we walked through, and she was like, do you think that hurt the baby? And I was like, Priscilla, if that much cigarette smoke hurt our baby, nobody would have made it out of the 70s, because the mothers were chain smoking like that,
on airplanes.
And so I was like, and so she'd say something like that, and I'd be like, Priscilla, there are people who do methamphetamine the entire pregnancy and come out with perfectly normal kids.
That's what I used to tell.
Nothing is ever going to be like, it's so case by case with stuff like this that, we're never trying to do anything wrong.
Well,
it doesn't mean that you won't.
We know certain things that are bad.
Right.
Right. Other things, it's like maybe, don't eat 6 pounds of deli meat at
Right.
a time. Right.
Yeah.
Like those nitrates might not be good for the baby. It's a far cry from
It's like a
pipe.
percentage of a percentage. This happened, so
Yeah.
they said not to, and you avoid it. You try to avoid it because you don't want mercury
do what's
poisoning
best,
for eating sushi or whatever. But the point is, you try to be a good parent. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. You just gotta. I think what I learned from our father, who made his mistakes, and what I learned from our mother, who made her mistakes. Is that as long as your kid at the end of the day knows that you love them and would do anything for them, you've done your job. Mm-hmm. We've made mistakes as children and as adults.
And there's no instruction manual.
Right.
But
that's just, it's a hard thing to navigate. And I think more and more, it's going to be difficult to do with social media is the main thing that I like. We don't want our son on social media. We don't want pictures.
Mine have never. Mine
we
have
don't
never
want
had social media.
I don't do social media. Priscilla doesn't do social media. I have it. I don't get on it at all. But and
Yeah,
I haven't.
I knew because we
posted.
were trying to set up the podcast social media accounts.
We're really bad at
Yeah, we're not great
it.
at
We
it.
spent 2 hours. Probably somebody that was 15 years old could have gotten on there and done it
Yeah, I
in 2
should have
seconds.
let my kids do it.
And we still haven't figured it out. So if anybody knows how to do it, yeah, that's the thing that I'm the most worried about. But everything having to do with movies and music and video games, I think, is just going to be very much case by case.
Yeah.
And if they can understand, this is not realistic. This is not how you act or whatever. As of right now, there are games that I maybe played that, you'd make decisions on there that I wouldn't necessarily choose. But I
Yeah.
mean, you can't have a game that's so boring that you're doing
Just day-to-day
mundane,
life.
yeah.
It's The Sims all the time.
So I am happy that I always have my veteran brother who has gone through the woes of fatherhood.
We're
going
college
through,
shopping.
going
now,
through.
so-
Yeah. And so, I'll probably, and I've just been sending cute pictures of him so far, but I'm sure there will be a time when I'm on the phone with you every other day, making sure I made the right decision or,
Yeah, they don't do much right now.
yeah, he doesn't get in any trouble. He does pee and poop a lot,
Yeah.
a whole lot.
About all we get done.
But that is it for this week's episode of the Brothers BS. Kind of an odd one today. We had a lot of discussion about media, but a lot more about family. Of course, I'm a father. Evan's a father. One of the other ones here, Andrew, is also a father. Would have been cool to have him on today's podcast as well, but he's sick. Adam's sick, but hopefully the next time we see you all, the four of us will be back together. We're thinking about adding maybe a guest person on every now and then. So if you all are interested in that, let us know. Be sure to comment down below, of course, what subjects you all want us to talk about. Movies, music, video games. Those are kind of like the topics we enjoy talking about the most. We
Gotta
clearly
get a
don't know
top five
anything.
going. We need to do a top 5.
Yeah, I thought about that. Well, I had a really cool episode planned for this one, but
When we want Adam and Andrew
yeah, yeah, that's when I've got a good question at the beginning for that one, and I've got a really fun,
Okay.
almost like little game that
So
we'll play
look
for that
forward
one.
to that.
So, be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below, of course. Share it with people. I've seen a lot on YouTube videos because I'm a YouTube addict. That's pretty much the only thing I watch. But I've seen a lot where it's like, if I get 30 likes on today's video, I'm going to, do a dance in the middle of the street or something.
I'll shave my head.
Perfect. if you all give us 100 likes, Evan's going to shave his head. I probably should do that too.
Too late.
Man, I'm getting
Yeah.
bald. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
I am getting bald. I don't think I'm going to look good bald. You look nice with a shaved head. I am not going to look good at all. Anyway, guys, that makes our episode for this week. Again, I am Zach,
I'm Evan.
and we are the Brothers BS.